The Last Stand of Fontem. In the late 19th century, in the heart of what is now southwestern Cameroon, the lush hills of Bangwa stood as a proud testament to the resilience of its people. The Bangwa were a community of warriors, farmers, and spiritual leaders, deeply connected to their land and their traditions. But that harmony was threatened when the German colonizers turned their gaze to Bangwa, determined to impose their rule. At the center of this story was Chief Fontem Asongani, a leader whose bravery and wisdom would come to define an era. Word had spread quickly. The Germans were advancing, their forces armed with rifles, cannons, and an unrelenting ambition to dominate. Chief Fontem gathered his people in the royal courtyard, a sacred space surrounded by towering palm trees. Under the glow of the moon, warriors, elders, and spiritual leaders waited, their faces tense but hopeful. Fontem rose, his voice steady and strong. "The Germans think they can take our land," he said. "They think their guns make them stronger than us. But they forget. We have the hills, the rivers, and the spirits of our ancestors. Will we let them take everything from us?" The crowd erupted with a resounding "No!" The Bangwa would fight, and Fontem would lead them. The Germans marched into Bangwa territory, confident in their firepower and their numbers. But they had underestimated the land and the people who knew it best. Hidden in the dense forests, the Bangwa warriors struck with precision. They set traps along the narrow trails, ambushed German patrols, and disappeared into the hills before the enemy could retaliate. The Germans, unfamiliar with the terrain, struggled to advance. Every step forward felt like a step deeper into a maze of danger. For weeks, Fontem's strategies kept the Germans at bay. He turned the land into a weapon, and his warriors fought with the courage of those defending not just their lives, but their very identity. One night, the Germans set up camp by the Menji River, hoping to regroup. Fontem saw an opportunity. Under the cover of darkness, he led a daring raid. The warriors moved like shadows, their footsteps silent, their attacks swift. By dawn, the German camp was in ruins. Supplies were scattered, soldiers were in disarray, and the Germans had suffered a crushing blow. The Bangwa celebrated that night. They had shown the invaders that their land would not be taken easily. But Fontem knew the fight was far from over. He could feel it in his heart. The Germans would return, and they would not come alone. Unbeknownst to Fontem, the Germans were already plotting their next move. They sought allies among the neighboring tribes, promising wealth and protection in exchange for loyalty. Some, out of fear or greed, betrayed the Bangwa. They revealed the hidden paths, the strongholds, and the strategies that had kept Fontem's people safe. Armed with this knowledge, the Germans launched a devastating assault. They attacked with overwhelming force, burning villages and destroying everything in their path. The Bangwa warriors fought bravely, but the odds were now impossible. As the flames of war consumed his land, Chief Fontem made the hardest decision of his life. To save his people from further suffering, he chose to surrender. Dressed in his traditional regalia, he walked unarmed into the German camp. His head was held high, his dignity intact, even as his heart ached with the weight of defeat. "I surrender not because you have defeated us," he said to the German commander, his voice firm. "I surrender to protect my people. Exile me if you must, but know this: the spirit of the Bangwa can never be conquered." The Germans, though victorious, were moved by his courage. They exiled Fontem far from his homeland, but they could not break his spirit. Even in exile, Fontem's name lived on. His story spread across the hills and valleys of Cameroon, inspiring those who heard it. The Bangwa people never forgot their chief, nor did they forget the fight for their land and their freedom. The hills of Bangwa, rich with the spirits of their ancestors, stood as a testament to their resilience. And though Chief Fontem was gone, his spirit remained, guiding his people, reminding them of their strength, and keeping alive the hope of a future free from oppression. In the end, the story of Fontem was not one of defeat. It was a story of resistance, of courage, and of a people who refused to let their identity be erased. The hills of Bangwa may have been scarred by war, but they were never conquered, and Chief Fontem's legacy lived on, a beacon of hope and pride.